Hello, travelers, and welcome to Reach the World. For over 20 years, Reach the World has used virtual exchange to inspire youth to become curious, confident, and compassionate global citizens. My name is Tim, and this week, together with Citi's E for Education campaign, we're going on a journey to explore how global citizens can put that valuable skill set to work as part of a global career. We'll be connecting with Citi employees in financial capitals around the world, all of whom have generously agreed to share their stories, observations, and tips for finding success in this highly interconnected global economy. Today, we're traveling to Mexico City to speak with Israel Zaga. Israel's joining us today to talk about working, living, and thriving professionally in Mexico City. But before we meet Israel, I want to welcome the teachers, students, Reach the World travelers, and early career professionals who are watching today. Feel free to use the YouTube chat bar on the right side of your screen to let us know you're here, where you're joining from, and of course to share any questions you have for our guest as we go. And with that introduction, I think it's time for us to journey to Mexico City. Israel, I'm going to bring you on screen here. Very warm welcome to Reach the World.
Thank you, Tim, and thanks for the invitation. I'm really happy to be here.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for joining us today. I know your day is just getting started, probably. Thanks for taking some time to talk to us today. We'll dive right into things. I was hoping, as by way of introduction, you could tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to be in this career that is so globally interconnected.
Yeah, sure, Tim. So once again, thank you very much for the invitation. Um, I since I started this career in the financial markets when I was a I'm not gonna say kid, but I was always attracted to that. This was my first job out of college, so at the beginning I kind of knew where I wanted to go, and I don't think there's any place better than Citi to follow that as a global bank. I had the opportunity to travel around the world. Well, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Just as an introduction, I'm Mexican, born and raised in Mexico, and that's where I'm located work-wise.
All right, great. Was there any sort of event earlier in your life or before you began your professional career that made you interested in working for a multinational corporation, that sort of opened your eyes to the world outside of Mexico?
Yeah, definitely. So, Tim, when I was a kid, I went to this summer camp in Wisconsin in the U.S. I was lucky to find that place and to go to that place. Found amazing people over there. But then you realize that there's so much more things. Um, Besides your country, right? So I went to this camp for 10 summers, and that was a life changer for me. Like I wanted to do more about traveling. I think it's all about curiosity, right? When you leave your country, you realize, as I just said before, that there are so many things to see, to meet new people, etc. Right? So I started as a young age to kind of do that, and after a while, I studied um, my career. Then I started working at Citi, not in markets, but in another area. I kept working there, and I reached a point in my career when I wanted to keep traveling, keep knowing more things, and to keep studying. So I went to do my master's business administration, my MBA in the UK. I was there for a year, and that was an amazing experience. You realize, as I said before, that there's a lot of much more things to do. And in the MBA, I was lucky to work with people from 40 different nationalities, and I learned a lot from from them. You learn a lot about their culture, their habits, the way they think, right? And then as a Mexican, I brought into the table my own experience as well. After the MBA, I studied 6 more months in Michigan, in Ross School of Business. So that was a great like overall experience. Why? Because I lived 1 year in the UK, 6 months in Michigan in the United States. So I had a little bit of everything, right? I met amazing people in the UK from different nationalities, and it was kind of the same in the US, but a completely different experience, right? The way the teachers, how they teach the subjects. anyway, and the culture, right, and the way they live. It was a great experience for me. And taking that back to work, I wanted to keep working after my MBA in a place where I can find diversity, where I can find actual inclusion, and where I can find a place where I can go and work in different spaces, right? And I think City was the perfect fit for me. And yeah, so after the MBA, I joined markets as a FX corporate sales based in Mexico, but as we speak, I actually in New York, right, as in a training. So that kind of makes you see how international is the bank, right?
All right, very good. Well, what you described with your sort of early global experiences are what a lot of Reach the World travelers are going through right now. They're, in many cases, U.S. students who are studying abroad, maybe in Mexico, and discovering what an varied and amazing culture that is, and they're thinking, wow, maybe I'd like to live and work in a place like Mexico City too. So let's move on to sort of what it's like to actually live and work in Mexico City. Can you talk a little bit about that, please?
Of course, Tim. Happy to do that. So I'm a proud Mexican, right? I've been lucky to was born and raised there, and there's a country that will always welcome you with wide arms, right, or with open arms. Um, so actually, when I was studying in college in Mexico, there were a lot of international students that came to study, right? And actually, some of them, when they finished their semester, they came to work to Mexico. So that tells you how diverse is the country. It's an amazing place to live and actually to work, right? I'll tell you a couple of reasons. So um, I mean, besides the soccer, the mariachis, the hats, the tacos, that it is amazing. We have a huge country with different landscapes, right? So you can have the beach, the desert, the jungle, a city as Mexico City, really cosmopolitan city. So you have a lot of diverse in that side. I think the people are really welcoming, really nice. They are always willing to help. We have an unfortunate event in 2017, a huge earthquake in Mexico, and you can see how people were like really, really, really unite between us. Everyone was helping. I was helping. So that was a great, great experience of how Mexican people are. So I welcome everyone. If you want to pursue a career in Mexico, it is a great place to be. Um, Now, for myself, me working at Citibank as a multinational company in Mexico, it's been great because of the networking I have done, not only in Mexico but in other places. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it, Tim. But I welcome everyone uh, to be if they like Mexico, more than welcome to join us.
Fantastic. I wonder if you can identify, for an American audience that may be thinking about coming to live and work in Mexico, are there any sort of intercultural skills that might make you especially successful when you adapt to working in a place like Mexico City?
Yeah. So actually, with the pandemic, right, a lot of people that were able to work from their own from your home, right, that you didn't need to be in the office. They came to Mexico, right, because it's a great place to be. Now, I think. I mean, it depends on where you want to work, on what you're doing. That you need to have your strengths, right? But overall, I think a lot of people in Mexico speak English, so that shouldn't be a stopper. And it depends also where you work, right? If you work in a multinational company, it will be easier for you to speak English, right? I'm not saying you shouldn't learn another language, right? So I think that could be a good opportunity there. But I think overall is just the willing to learn and be curious. I think that's it, right? So I think uh, I always and a couple of managers I have had, they always tell me this, and I think this is true. Like you can learn anything you want, right? Most of things are not rocket science, right? So you can learn anything except um, the the the, the the willing you're putting on, right? The enthusiasm. Like, I don't know one person that doesn't like enthusiasm, right? So the attitude you put on things. So I think those things are the most important. And if you are willing to be a teammate, to play with the team, to add any value you have, you'll be a great attribute to Mexico.
All right, fantastic. It's interesting today to be connecting with you while you're in New York doing some training. We spoke to your colleague George, who's probably right down the road from you yesterday, and learned all about living and working in New York. I wonder if by being in New York, being sort of away from your home base, you have extra perspective right now on how your day differs between working in two different markets. Maybe it's the same, maybe there are like subtle differences. What is your average day like in Mexico City?
Yeah, definitely, and that's a great team. Thanks for asking. So, actually, I'm here in New York for 2 months, as I said, in a training. So the training it has been amazing, but it's completely different to what I've done. So, and that's what also City brings to the table, right? So it allows you to move. Actually, I'm here to do some other things, learn new things, meet new people. So I'm here with a team from 8 people from Peru, Brazil, Paraguay, Colombia, Uruguay, Mexico. So you can see how diverse the team is, and we're learning from each other, right? So a day in Mexico City, that's my real job. Will be we start really early because market opens early. So around 7:30, I'm in the office, and usually we have a review of the market, any important news, how we talk with our internal traders, so we can actually express what we're seeing in the market to our clients. So usually I have a couple of calls with clients to let them know what are we expecting of the market, just to make everyone in the same page. I'm an FX corporate sales, so I usually sell, buy, and offer different solutions to corporate clients related FX, right? So currencies, all that stuff, all the boring stuff. And actually, it's really, really, really fun, and that's why I like this job. So it's really dynamic work. So after a couple of calls, we start because usually corporate clients start talking around 9 a.m. So we call them, they call us, what they're trying to do, they buy, we sell. So it's a really dynamic pace during the whole day. We close the day around 3:30, 4 p.m. in Mexico. Depends on New York time, right? Sometimes it's earlier, around 2:30. Sometimes it's around 3:30. And after that, in the afternoon, we do a lot of things, initiatives, new initiatives we're doing with the bank. We have lunch with clients. We have conferences with clients. So in the morning, I will say it's a little bit more dynamic in terms of all the, as you can see, the office, there's a lot of noise. It's really really fun. But in the afternoon, it's a little more calm. You talk to clients, to pitch some solutions, some ideas that we might have. So I finish working around 6 7 p.m. depending on the day, but it's really fun, and it has been a great learning experience since I got here to market. And every day is different. Every client has a different needs. It's important to listen to them, to know what they want, and so that's part of my job, right? I have around 150 clients, so it's busy, but it's really fun, and I love it.
I'm assuming that your 150 clients are in different countries, right? And have different sort of like cultural approaches to things and maybe even different ways of communicating and relating with one another. How do you keep, all of these countries that you're in and cultures and people that you're working with? How do you best sort of know what to give any given client?
Yeah, that's a great question, Tim, because I believe that at the end of the day, we're people, right? So we're working for companies, but we are people at the end. So I think how we relate to them should be important, right? And we should do it in a memorable way, to connect with the client, because as I said, we're people at the end. So how I do it is, to be honest, I'm a pretty extrovert person. so it's easy for me to ask questions and to share part of my my personal life and my professional experience. So for me, it's easy kind of to talk with my clients in that way. I love to meet them in a more personal way, to connect with them, so I know if they have kids, if they went to the soccer game on the weekend, if they what they like to eat. So I think those things, it will make you a better sales. It allows you to connect with them in a more personal way, and I believe that's it. And as you were saying, I have clients that are in the UK, I have clients that are in India, in Asia. So you need to know your audience, who you're talking with, and have something to relate. If your client is from India, you need to know a little bit about the culture. If you don't, you need to do your homework and go and read a little bit. Or if your client is in the UK, you can do the same, right? So I think we need to do our homeworks. We need to understand who is our audience, where is our audience seated, and that will help you to be a better salesman, right?
Yeah, that's some great advice. Let's move on to like really practical career advice, because most of our audience is, on the cusp of really wanting to have a global career and work for a multinational corporation. Do you have any sort of practical steps that these young travelers can take to make themselves strong job candidates at a place like Citi?
Definitely, Tim. So what am I mean, my advice would be, just go for it. In terms of, if you want to do something, you're the owner of your career, right? And it doesn't matter if you're an analyst, an associate, a VP, whatever you are. You own your career, and by that line, I think, for example, I'm here in New York, right? It's my first time here, actually, not in New York, but like in the city headquarters. And part of my training, besides training, has been knowing new people, meeting new people. So I think network is really, really important to achieve your goals, in a personal way and also in a professional way. So my advice would be, network, know people, um, take opportunities. If you're in a place and you want to talk with someone, I'm sure you can. And sometimes we're hesitating in, should I go, should I talk with them, but every one of us has something to offer, right? You just need to know your strengths, what you can offer to the table. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be the president of a country or the CEO of a company to actually give something back, right? So if you know what your value are, what are your strengths, you can actually put that in the table, right? So I'll say, Tim, just network, 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 know people, and also be curious. You know, sometimes we do not know everything, right? But keep learning. If you want to keep learning, if you want to keep developing yourself, you'll be a great asset for any multinational company.
It's just more fantastic advice. Thank you very much. Let's finish sort of on a fun note, specifically to just like how you can spend your free time if you're a first time visitor to Mexico City, or you're thinking about coming to move there. As a resident of Mexico City, what should we do to really get the flavor of this unique international city?
Definitely, Tim. So yes, so Mexico is a fun country. I don't know anyone who had a bad experience here in Mexico. So if you're coming or going, in this case, to Mexico, just try everything in terms of food. So we have a lot of food, and it depends in which state you're visiting. So if you're going to the south part, we have regional food that stands for that part of the country. If you go north, you'll find great steaks, or if you go to the beach, you'll find great seafood. So just we have a really, really diverse culture in terms of food. Not only that, also landscape. So if you come in, actually to Mexico City, right? um, we have the downtown is beautiful, where we have all our history about the Aztecas, how they landed here in Mexico City. So you can see it actually. We have, as I said, amazing food. We have really, really traditions, like mariachis, or I think the best way to know a country is just walking, right? So if you're walking in the city, in the streets, you can feel feel the city. But yeah, we have the Azteca Stadium, one of the biggest stadiums in the world. So we have a really nice culture. As I said before, we welcome everyone here to Mexico. So if you're planning to go to Mexico, don't hesitate. Just go, take the plane, and you'll have a great time.
All right, that is a great invitation. You make it sound like a wonderful place to live and work. So I hope some of our travelers take you up on that. Israel, it's been so much fun talking to you today. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to share your global career journey with Reach the World. I also want to thank our entire audience for tuning in today. There is one more Citi Global Career Journey stop this week. We're going to the United Arab Emirates and Dubai. So stay tuned tomorrow for that. And if you missed any of our previous stops on this global career journey, you can find recordings of those events at Reach the World's YouTube channel, where we've set up a special Citi Global Career Journey playlist. Special thanks finally to the Citi E4Education campaign, and of course to all our many Citi volunteers like Israel today for making this learning experience possible. Israel, thank you so much. It was great to meet you. Thanks for that great advice. Have a great day.
Thank you, Tim. Thanks for the invitation. Thanks, everyone.